Okay, we're sitting here with in a secure facility just outside Langley, Virginia. And with me today is, why don't you just introduce yourself?
My name is Patrick Thies, retired Captain, U.S. Army.
And what do you have next to you there on the arm of the chair?
I have M.A. Noriega's nameplate off his study desk, which I picked up in, I believe, 1989 when we invaded Panama. My team's mission was to take his house. He had several houses, one in Panama City, one in Rio Hato, which is airfield and military base. And my team's mission was to take his house in Rio Hato. So we got up to his house, and there was a big set of double doors and two plate glass windows on either side. And my squad leader turned to me and said, "Thies, kick down the door." And all I could think of was, if I stand up, I'm silhouetting myself in between two big plate glass windows, I'm going to get shot. But, you know, it's my job. And as I was processing through this, he said, "Thies, kick open the door a second time." And we could hear people inside the doors or inside the house. So I knew that basically if I go kick open this door, I'll be killed. But it was my job, and I figured that the guys that were with me were going to kill whoever killed me. So it was part of what I had to do. No. So I got up and checked the door to see if it was unlocked. I was smart enough not to just kick doors without checking. It was locked. And so I kicked the door with all of my might, and it went thud. Not crash, bang, boom. It was a very flat thud. So I step back and I kick the door. I mean, I stand up. I just kick this door with everything I have. And I'm a big guy. And it went thud. So I reach up and feel the door, and it's marble and bulletproof glass. There is nobody short of the Hulk that was going to kick this door open. Really? So I told my squad leader this, and we moved back about 25, 30 feet and put an anti-tank rocket through his front door. It blew his that double doors all the way through his house, through his living room, through the back door and windows, and dumped the doors into his pool. And then we went through the house and cleared it. And the nameplate was on his study desk. I was the second one into the house. And that's when I took my big war injury. I got a shard of glass in my finger from going into the house. No. Didn't report it. No Purple Heart. Yeah, so it was in his house and on his study desk, and I just picked it up and put it in my rucksack. Now, that's not stealing. The U.S. Army has a policy that you can, in war combat zones, that you can take non-valuable items or low-value items as a memento. It's not a trophy, it's a memento. So I had to turn it into our S2 intelligence people, and then it was okayed and cleared, and then returned to me later as an official war memento because it had no intrinsic value. So it's just been a cool thing that I've had sitting on my desk or sitting in my living room for the past 25, 30 years.
Wow. Now, so you didn't get a Purple Heart for this, but what was the, you were telling me earlier, what was the name of the operation? It
was Operation Blue Spoon, which unfortunately sounds rather pathetic. The last big U.S. mission was Urgent Fury. That's motivating, but I was part of Operation Blue Spoon.
Have you any idea why it was called Blue Spoon?
It's always a two-word.
What is that classified? I don't want to go into.
No, it's always a two-word name, and it's a random generator that produces the terms.
Okay. Well, so just to clarify again, it wasn't the regular army you were in.
No, I was with the Airborne Rangers at the time. So it was the whole invasion was 82nd, 101st, and the 75th Ranger Regiment in various different spots. I was with the 2nd Ranger Battalion within the 75th Ranger Regiment.
Right. So once you got into the room, what happened next? The doors were in the swimming pool.
So basically we cleared the house. The people that we heard in the house, we believe were on the stairs and went out the back balcony because we found footprints a little bit later from the back balcony onto the beach. This house was directly on the beach, and footprints going down the beach, but we never actually saw anybody in the house.
And then, did you stay in the house for long after that? Did you all sleep there, or?
No, we were there for probably half an hour or so, 45 minutes, and then Intel people came and took over, and we moved out to our next area of operation.
Right, so your job was just to clear the house, and then the Intel would come in and presumably, take everything and say, classify it and all the rest of that.
Correct. And our ultimate job was to seize the entire airfield of Rio Hato. So once the Rangers captured it, then I think it was the 82nd that came in after us, that kind of controlled the airhead after we seized it, and then we slowly just got a larger and larger area until we took the entire Rio Hato air base. And so our mission was literally to go down the street and clear every house and every building on the airfield. And it was where his dignitary battalions, the equivalent of their special forces, was stationed. And so we were fighting against their special operations unit. And they were just called the dignitary battalions.
So that was so you got into like a firefight with them?
I personally did not get into a firefight at that point. I think most units, when faced with the 75th Ranger Regiment, start running as soon as we show up. So I think there was actually very little real fighting done once we actually hit the ground. There was a lot of shooting. We had a lot of aircraft shot, and people shot on the aircraft as we were coming in. But once we hit the ground and started taking ground, everybody just surrendered. Right. All the dignitary battalion soldiers just started surrendering.
Well, and where did you fly in from?
That's classified.
Oh, that's classified. Okay. Now, General Noriega at the time, what was it? Why was it that you wanted to capture him?
I will tell you the propaganda answer first, and then the real answer. Propaganda answer is Noriega he was absolutely slimy scumbag, and he was running millions, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars of drugs, specifically cocaine, into the U.S. And so we were just getting rid of a big-time drug dealer that was the head of a country and definitely unfriendly to the United States. So that's the official propaganda answer. The real answer is he was a CIA plant and was controlled by the CIA for many, many years. And eventually he went rogue and stopped doing what the U.S. told him to do. We knew he was running drugs for years before we decided to enforce it. But once he stopped doing what the U.S. told him to do, then he became a liability and went down and took him out.
Wow, that's quite a story. And then, did he get captured straight away? Was he extradited straight away? Can you remember?
No, he was not captured straight away. He went into something to do with the Vatican. I'm not exactly sure, but the Vatican owns some kind of property in Panama that is neutral, which means the U.S. can't go in. And so I wasn't involved in this part of the operation, but I understand that they just blared heavy metal music for 24/7. For quite some time, and it was a week or 2 weeks later that he gave himself up, and then he was taken directly back to the U.S. after that and tried for drug moving and money laundering.
Right, and I think he stayed. Did he stay there until he died? Oh no, he was released, wasn't he?
No, he stayed in the U.S. jail for years. I'm not sure quite how long. Then he was extradited, I believe, to France and served more time there. And I don't remember if he died in France or if he died free, but I'm pretty sure he died in jail, but I'm not positive.
Right. So I didn't know he went to France, actually. Is there anything else that you can remember about the mission that was significant, or was it your first mission, fifth, second?
For me, that was my first combat mission that I ever served on.
So how did that feel? I mean, the first mission, and you're being told to kick a door down, and as far as you thought, you were going to get killed.
Well, at the time, I knew for a fact that I was going to die, and I knew it was part of my job, and so I just did it. It's made the rest of my life a little easier to face because I should be dead already, so everything else is gravy.
It's just an up after that. And did it take you long? Can you remember what was going through your mind at the time? How many seconds did you have to think about it? When he said kick the door down?
Probably 5 to 10 seconds between the first and the second kick the door down, and I just processed it's my job, I'm going to die, and my buddies are going to kill the guy who kills me.
So that's all that was going through your mind? I've got to do it?
That's all that went through my mind at that point.
Wow. Is there anything else that was significant about it besides it being your first time? Anything else that you want to share?
Well, it was a little interesting going in. There was a couple errors that the Army made, although it was based on, one of the errors was based on lack of knowledge, the other one was just carelessness. When you're doing a combat jump, you jump at about 500 feet, which is lower than training, which is 800 feet. But as we were coming in, we were expecting to start jumping at about 375 and go up to, 475 and go up to 500. Just the length of the Rio Hato drop zone. Well, what someone failed to calculate is that Rio Hato drop zone is 100 feet above sea level. Everybody was thinking it was an island, so essentially sea level. So instead of starting our jump at 475, we started our jump at 375, and so it was very, very low altitude, and it's what we call a hop and pop. You jump out, your parachute opens, and you land. But one of the interesting stories of coming in is it's against Geneva Conventions to shoot at parachutists. Now, unfortunately, the U.S. has never fought anybody that obeys the Geneva Convention. So they were actively shooting at us while we were jumping in and shooting at the aircraft. And this is one of the things that the Army learned from is there were 11 or 12, I don't remember, aircraft in a row parachuting us out, jumping us out. And the first 5 aircraft were not hit by anti-aircraft fire at all. And progressively 6 through 11 or 12 got hit more and more. I was in bird, I believe, 10. Hold on a second.
I need to change the camera angle because the sun is moving up and...
Okay, so the aircraft were progressively 6 through 11 or 12 were hit more and more. I was on aircraft 10. And so you could see tracers coming up through the fuselage while I was trying to jump. So we were just standing in this airplane waiting to jump, and you could see tracers coming up through the airplane. So that was a little exciting. I was told someone was shot right in the door in front of me, and he was knocked to the ground, literally just grabbed the doorway and pulled himself out by it with his hands. And there was someone behind me that was shot as well, and they got him unhooked, and he stayed on the aircraft.
This is in the aircraft.
So
he got hit in the aircraft?
He got hit in the aircraft.
That must have been a good shot.
Now, if you're shooting a heavy-duty anti-aircraft machine gun into aircraft full of people, you're bound to hit someone. And so that guy got a Purple Heart. He was hit due to enemy action.
So he recovered, obviously.
Yes, but he never made the jump. He got shot on the aircraft and flew immediately back to the U.S.
Wow. So that was your first mission. It wasn't your first jump, obviously, because you trained to do it. That must have been pretty exciting.
It was pretty exciting.
So that night when you got back home, how did that feel? Did you sleep okay? Were you too pumped up? How did the day end for you?
Well, at that point, we were still in the combat zone. So after we took out the dignitary battalions and sealed the airhead at Rio Hato, then we set up a defensive perimeter around because we were waiting for a counterattack. Because he's got full armies in Panama, and we weren't sure what was going to happen. So I literally slept with my M16 in one hand and a grenade in the other.
Wow. And you still do that today, so I hear.
No, I try to cut back on that. My wife gets nervous when I sleep with a grenade.
The hand grenade, I would imagine. Was there a retaliation?
No.
I didn't know anything about this. I thought it was just a one-off raid.
No, it took about We were there for 2 weeks ish. I can't remember exactly how long, but it was a couple of weeks, and we were just doing patrolling. We did a lot of weapons buyback, so we'd set up roadblocks and search vehicles, make sure everything was safe, and we did gun buyback programs where we'd hand out leaflets and set up a station, and then people would just bring guns in, and we'd pay them cash for handguns, rifles, shotguns, machine guns.
So it's like an amnesty type of
So
thing.
yeah, it's purely an amnesty to disarm the population.
It's quite an amnesty when you get paid for handling your guns.
No, I mean it's their guns. They had a right to.
Yeah.
It was civilians. They had a right to the gun. Although I did have to say that I ignored our rules one time because a guy came in doing the right thing, turning in weapons that he had, but these were absolutely stunningly beautiful shotguns. They were probably $5,000 or $6,000 each. I mean, they were customized shotguns that used for hunting and for skeet shooting, and I think we were paying $50 per shotgun. And so I put them back in the case. I grabbed our translator and I said, "Go put them underneath your bed and don't tell any U.S. people you have them until we're gone." There was no way I was going to either let some other person steal them out of our stockpile or get melted down. They're actually beautiful weapons.
So the guy who owned them kept them?
Yeah, I just told him to go home, put them under his bed, and don't tell anybody.
Well, it was very trusting of you. Well,
they weren't military weapons. I wasn't worried about it.
Obviously, you assessed that. Well, that's an incredible story. I mean, it's something I can't match, but it's great to hear. And now I know the story behind this plaque, which I've coveted for so long.
Yep, it's been, like I said, sitting in my living room for many years now.
Yeah. Well,
it's a good conversation piece.
It certainly is, yeah. Well, thanks so much. It's been a real privilege to interview you, and maybe we'll get to talk again another day.
All right. Well, thank you, Jeff. You have a good day.
Yeah, God bless.